Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, boy, he is really enjoying his role as Trump's hatchet man, it would seem, at least as it pertains to Fed Chairman Jay Powell and the Fed more generally. This is what he had to say in a sit-down with Joe Kernan over at CNBC about Jay Powell and company.
I think that we should think, has the organization succeeded in its mission? You know, if this were the FAA and we were having this many mistakes, we would go back and look at why has this happened? I mean, look at as you said at the top of this broadcast, there was fear mongering over tariffs, and thus far we have seen very little, if any, inflation. We've had great inflation numbers. So, I think this idea of them not being able to break out of a certain mindset, all these PhDs over there, I don't know what they do. This is like universal basic income for, academic economists.
I do like that. At Zinger, the Fed is like a universal basic income for academic economy. Yeah. So are a lot of economics departments in academia, actually, ironically enough. Rand Paul asked about the Fed imbroglio, too. And by the way, I think Anna Paulina Luna, congressman, has referred Jay Powell and company for a DOJ investigation into this $2.5 billion upgrade they want to do to their digs in D.C., which is, yes, it's definitely offensive. I don't know that it rises to the level of criminality, but anyway, a lot of attention on it. Rand Paul was on with Kudlow, asked about who will replace Jay Powell when he is replaced, either in the spring of next year or perhaps, but seems unlikely, before.
There really is not hesitancy yet on the Democrat side. On the Republican side, there is some pretense to believing that the debt is wrong, but they believe, and the president has convinced them that it's a third rail, that you can't talk about, Social Security is taken off the table, Medicare is taken off the table, and then essentially Medicaid was even being taken off the table by the administration. Once you do that, there's not a whole lot left. To put it in perspective, the dynamics of what the budget is like.
Oh, that wasn't it. That's him obviously talking about fiscal policy. But what he essentially said on Kudlow with respect to Powell was he should be replaced by an empty chair. I vote for none of the above. Why do we have these mystics? Why not let markets set interest rates, the free exchange of goods and services, including lending services? For more on this, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-author with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. By the way, I like the way you just put that I'm going to steal that line, that what Jerome Powell is a mystic. And, he thinks he can just wave the wand and direct the economy. And he's been completely incompetent. It's hard to believe, by the way, that a year or two ago, Time Magazine was going to make him their Man of the Year, but Taylor Swift just beat him out. She had a better year than he did. But the guy, he's the one who gave us 9% inflation. Remember, he's the one who practically threw the economy into recession in Trump's first term. You talk about expenditures. I just saw a report just in the last 15 years, the expenditures at the Federal Reserve Board have quadrupled. What do? What are those 300 PhD economists from Harvard, Yale, and Princeton? What do they do?
It looks like they're paging through Crate and Barrel catalogs, deciding how to decorate their offices with this $2.5 billion spend. I mean, he may have had Taylor Swift may have had a better year, but she doesn't have a better office setting.
I want people to know, because I have a lot of people who listen to your show are donors to Unleash Prosperity, and I just want them to let them know that we're using your money, folks, to build a little waterfall in my office. And, we're gonna have a hot tub. We're gonna have a hot tub. So thanks so much for your donation.
You deserve it.
That's the Fed.
So I mean, but
that's what the Fed is doing. I mean, it's unbelievable. But they're supposed to be the ones who's mining the mint, and they're spending the money like it's candy.
But I mean, the You don't really think this is a moment, though, to do something Rand Paulian and Randian while we're at it.
Yep.
And when Powell comes up for, when Powell's term ends at the end of next year, at the end of the spring of next year, May, I think, when that ends, just for Trump to say, I'm not appointing anybody. They need to be out of this business. That's not where this is going to go. Do you think?
Well, I actually have a better idea than that.
Okay.
Okay, it's to name me as the Fed chairman, because if I had all that power, I could do the right thing for the country.
Oh, really? You're going to be, well, you just want the $2.5 billion office digs. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Look, this is an agency that is completely out of control. They're completely incompetent. Wall Street thinks this guy is a wizard. He is not. He practically destroyed the economy. If I were Trump, I'd wait him out. But, I mean, why not put somebody in who is what the Fed should be doing is controlling inflation, keeping the dollar sound. That's why we have a currency. I mean, it goes back to Economics 100, so it retains its value and can be used as a medium of exchange. So we have to keep the dollar supreme, but it hasn't done very well under Powell, so he's got to go. I like either Kevin Warsh or Kevin Hassett, or maybe how about Larry Kudlow? Put him in there.
Yeah. All right, on trade deals, trade deal between U.S. and Japan with $500 billion investment coming from the Japanese. So says Trump. Deal with the Philippines. We got what's the president's name there in the Philippines too? Bong Bong. Yeah.
Is it first name? Is it Marcos?
No, Marcos and Imelda and their shoe collection, I think, have. Or no more, but Bong Bong in Philippines, we got them. He got him signed on. So, what's your stop, look, and listen on these trade deals that he and Howard and the crew and Bessent are negotiating?
Well, look, Trump. Trump has been pretty effective so far. And you and I are not tariff guys. We don't like tariffs, but I have to say he's done a pretty amazing job so far in getting these countries to bend and to play fair and to treat American exports on a level playing field. I mean, it is true that we've had generally the lowest tariffs. And if he can continue to get these countries to lower their tariffs on our farmers, on our dairy people, on our manufacturers, on our technology companies, I'm all for that. And so far, it seems to be working. Now, it's a dangerous strategy. And every time, if you notice, Dan, every time Trump talks about tariffs, the market crashes. Right? And then when he announces a trade deal, the market comes roaring back to life.
Yeah, I hope people aren't front running his rhetoric. Anyway, speaking of unleashed prosperity, and speaking of this too, the conditions on the ground. I noted in your latest newsletter, at least the latest one I saw, your red state, blue state jobs update. So tell us what the net is.
So thank you for asking that, because on Monday, you're sitting down, we're going to unveil our what we call votewithourfeet.com, which is going to be the most extensive analysis of where people are moving to, where they're moving from, how much money they were taking with them, et cetera, et cetera. In preparation for your show, I looked up Illinois. Illinois, but good news, you're not the worst state. You haven't lost the most. You're third worst, right behind California and New York. But Illinois has lost, by our estimates, over the last 10 years, almost $100 billion in income, because we can track the IRS data where people are moving to and from, and we know what their gross income is. So this is the problem when you elect someone like, Brandon Johnson, or if New York elects this socialist, you're going to see the biggest migration out of New York City in history. And, you want to buy property in Tampa or Dallas or Fort Worth or West Palm Beach, because it'll be a stampede out of New York. New York already has the highest income tax rate in the country at 14%. This idiot wants to raise it to nearly 20%.
No, I know. I mean, well, we're familiar with it. All the big ideas that punctuate Mamdani's campaign in New York, we're actually already in the process of doing in Chicago.
Exactly. We're using New York's going to use the Chicago model because it's worked so well. But it's sad, because we've talked about this many times. Chicago is one of the world's great cities, but if you get bad leadership, things deteriorate pretty quickly. So Illinois is the third worst in terms of losing people, losing population, and maybe I got an idea, maybe you need new leadership. I know it's a crazy idea, but I think that could work.
Yeah, and at the state level, too. I mean, it's interesting, some of the takeaways from this data analysis that you do annually. 5 states that have seen job growth of at least 10% from pre-pandemic levels, all deep red states. The no income tax states, 5 of the top 15 states in job growth. It's pretty simple formula.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, the amount of money that's going into Florida, Texas, Tennessee, states like that. By the way, what do Florida, Texas, and Tennessee have in common?
No income tax.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how that works? I mean, the left still runs around saying that taxes don't matter. They don't affect people's behavior. Oh, that must explain why all the moving vans are moving to Dallas, Texas.
I was reading this piece, and I was thinking maybe Steve Moore is about to sell his home. Is Trump still kicking around the idea of moving to eliminate the capital gains tax on home sales?
Yeah, he just announced that yesterday, I think, and I don't know all the details of it. But actually, believe it or not, I was on CNN last night. You were in bed by that time, but we were talking about this issue. And my point was, a better idea would be to index capital gains for inflation, because I think about people like my parents who in the 60s bought their house in the North Shore for something like $38,000, and then 35 years later, 40 years later, they sold it for $800,000 or something like that. But guess what? A lot of that quote gain was just inflation from the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
So why not allow people to index your, in other words, adjust for inflation, then you pay a tax, because a lot of people are paying more tax on the inflationary gain than they are on the actual increase in the real value of the house.
100%. Well, that's why you're an economist. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. One last piece of business. You had this in Unleash as well, but I wanted to get your reaction to Mayor Pete, the news that he spent about $80 billion on DEI grants during his time as Secretary of Transportation. But now on the good news side, we got to have the whole story. He was able to get 384 charging ports done with $7.5 billion from the Green New Deal, which I guess works out to about $15 million per charging port for EVs.
This is quite a story. This guy wants to run for president, by the way, because he was such a great transportation secretary. But if you're wondering why the potholes aren't getting fixed in your neighborhood, or why the trains are falling off the track and so on, it's because he was more interested in making sure they have racial quotas and hiring than actually improving, or why are the planes crashing? Maybe they should have modernized the computers at the FAA. They're still using Fortrans, the 1980s computers we used to use in college. So this is a matter of the safety of the American people. It's outrageous. And what was the number again? I think it was 60 billion. Was it for a DEI?
80 billion.
80. Yeah. How do you do that, by the way? How do you spend $80 billion on diversity?
And do it so quickly. Yeah. He got
thanks to him, there's no more racial prejudice anymore in America. Thank you so much, Mayor Pete.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people running phony baloney NGOs that are flush. Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, don't forget, votewithyourfeet.net. Stay tuned, folks. You'll see what we have to do to fix Illinois.
Votewithyourfeet.net. Got it. Steve Moore joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt